Patriot Come Lately show. This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, the voice of the Second American Revolution. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever or wherever you are listening. As someone who came to America to escape from the socialist nightmare, I am using this show to shake America awake. Join me in the next hour for constitutional conservative news and views, as well as the occasional guest. We have to rebuild that shining city on the hill by taking this great country back to the principles set forth by the founders. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're listening to the show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, but American by choice, welcoming you to episode 290 of the Patrick Come Lately show. 290, 10 away from the magic 300. And of course, thinking about it, 300 might be a good time to stop. Never expected it to go this long. But I'm sure my audience would love to keep hearing me. So if you're listening to this, whether it's live or to the recording, drop me a line, Stefan@patrickcomelately.us, or go to my website, www.patrickcomelately.us. Send me a contact message and tell me to keep going on. I just need to know you're out there, folks. Another show coming from New England. Last week was from New England, and I'm back in Hartford, New England, Connecticut part, and actually very close to the Connecticut River by chance, I notice. Now, I'm going to see how different this hotel is in terms of the technology. I know some of the hotels I've been at have had some problems. This is a different hotel, and one of the things that pleased me about this hotel is that they had Fox News Channel on in the lobby. So maybe they're not quite so liberal here after all. But having said that all, folks, time to get on with the show. And tonight I'm going to start off with the thing I've been haven't done for a couple of shows, but the weekly summary, a quick roundup of very short topics and my take, my views on those topics. So yes, Patrick Come Lately's weekly summary, and regular listeners will know that a few months ago, well, actually about about 6 months ago, I mentioned that I had a new hobby. I was into brewing beer, and I just thought I'd mention this. It's not really political, but while I was looking for this last week, looking for topics for this week's show, I ran into an interesting thing on the internet, and I just have to share it. And that is that drinking beer slows down Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Drinking beer could slow the damage of brain cells, says research carried out by a Chinese professor at Lanzhou's University of School of Chemistry. Drinking liquor is not much appreciated practice in the past, but partying has become part of life, they said. While the goodness of wine is well known, it's time to know something about beer. The goodness of beer is sure to amaze beer lovers. A compound called xanthomol, present in the beer, is observed to have anti-carcinogenic, antioxidation, and cardiovascular protection properties. So there you are, folks. Drink more beer. During brewing, an ingredient called hops is added to the beer to give that bitter and tangy taste. And it's hops that are the source of that compound. And that's where they get the goodness from. Now, actually, beer brewers know that because hops were actually introduced into beer to keep the beer from going bad. They have antibacterial properties, but they now also protect neuronal cells in the brain and slows down the development of brain disorders. So, folks, like I said, drink more beer and drink more craft beer because it's good. And now we can say it's good for you as well. Next topic here on the weekly summary. And in the lead up in the invites for this show, I mentioned that I was going to talk about one reason why I have my doubts about Ben Carson. And if Mary comes on the show, or if she listens to this in the recording, I know she's a great supporter of Ben Carson. But Ben Carson wants to police speech on college campuses. Now, this all sounds very good, a good thing to do, because he wants to monitor college campuses for extreme political bias, speech about extreme political bias. And of course we all say, well, all these left-wing colleges and they're all the very left-wing things they say, and they exclude right-wing people from the college, etc. But folks, First Amendment, think about it. And Ben Carson said in an interview recently he would use the US Department of Education to police speech on college campuses. Come on, folks, we can't go down that way. He was actually being interviewed by Glenn Beck, and who asked Carson if he would shut down the education department. And Carson said, I actually have something I would use the Department of Education to do. It would be to monitor our institutions of higher education for extreme political bias and deny federal funding if it exists. Like I said, it all sounds so good. Of course, these left-wing and they have extreme political bias, so why should we give them federal money? But folks, First Amendment. And if we do it today for extreme left-wing political bias, what about tomorrow for extreme right-wing political bias? Or for political bias for women, against women, for gays, against gays, whatever, any kind of extreme bias? No. Apparently he also discussed the same idea in June with a Las Vegas radio host. And although he did not explain the details, the host, Heidi Harris, says she loves that idea. A host who lives off the First Amendment, loving that idea? Now, last month at one of Obama's staged town halls, King Barry was asked what he thought of the plan to monitor for political bias. Obama responded, I have no idea what that means, and I suspect he doesn't either. No, because the left don't want the left-wing colleges monitored, but to be honest, neither do I. And anyway, so the Carson campaign has not responded to a request for comment on the subject. This article actually came from the Huffington Post, but they do comment. They say it's interesting to hear that Carson suggests the federal government should monitor what sort of political views are shared on campuses, considering how many times he has railed against political correctness that censors American viewpoints. And he actually compared the US to Nazi Germany last March, before saying, I know you're not supposed to say Nazi Germany, but I don't care about political correctness. You know, you had a government using its tool to intimidate the population. We are now in a society where people are afraid to say what they actually believe. And you're going to compound that, Ben Carson. Sorry, folks. And I disagree with you. And so there you are, folks. One good reason why Ben Carson might not be the best choice for president. And of course, this is very timely because Ben Carson seems to have overtaken Trump in a number of polls. And that was another question I posed in the invitation to the show. Has Trump fallen from grace? Interesting. First of all, it was some polls in Iowa. Now, apparently, a national poll puts him about 6 points ahead of Trump. Now, we also have to remember, they say with the size of audience that they polled, that the margin of error is quite large, plus or minus 4. So plus 4 with Trump, minus 4 with Ben Carson would still bring them very close and almost a dead heat. So, but still, and of course the mainstream media, including Fox News Channel, is shouting this from the roofs. Finally, Trump not number one. We'll see. I'm not surprised to a certain extent, because one of the reasons is, let's look at it. Trump has given out hardly any money for media buys. Now, Carson's been collecting a lot of money and he's been spending a lot of money. But Trump has been doing it all through his knowledge of how to work the media and using social media. So has the time come for him to maybe change that approach? I think probably so. And I think if he does start throwing his money into the race and get some good spots, both video, probably YouTube, as well as TV and radio, get some good ads, I think he can come back from that. And also, let's face it, one thing that a number of people are saying, Iowa, look who won Iowa in the last two elections, right? The primaries. Rick Santorum and Huckabee. And how long did they last? So is it critical? No. The national one's a little more disturbing, but hey, again, it's only a poll, and who knows, you just happen on one day to grab a certain population of people, and that margin of error could be way, way wrong. It could be 20% wrong. Who knows? Anyway, folks, on to the next topic. All over the TV today was what, in the first instance, looked rather like a disturbing video. It was a video of a cop arresting a student in South Carolina. And he seemed to get very rough with this young lady. And then on some of the TV programs, they actually showed what led up to him basically taking this girl and trying to get her out of her desk and then throwing her to the floor. Most channels were just showing from when he basically picked her up and threw her to the ground. But a number, Megyn Kelly and also Sean Hannity on Fox, actually showed what led up to it. And you actually see the police officer coming into the room. And now you get some of the back story. The teacher had told the girl to stop using her phone, and if not, to leave the room. She refused. They brought an administrator in who did the same thing. She refused. So then they finally brought the local police officer that's stationed there. And you hear him coming in and, 6-10 feet away from her saying, listen, you've got to get up, you've got to leave the room, very quiet, calm and quietly. And she still refuses. You don't hear her saying anything, so it's almost like she's ignoring him. And then he comes, you really have to get up and go. And he then says, and if you don't go, I'm going to make you go. And so he goes up to her and says, come on, you've got to get up and go, without touching her. She still refuses to do anything. And then he leans down to touch her, and she brings her arm up and starts hitting him. Well, first of all, the fact that she refused to obey a lawful command from a police officer is a misdemeanor offense in South Carolina, and also disrupting a class, which is what she was doing, is a misdemeanor offense in South Carolina. However, hitting a police officer is a felony offense, and at that point the police officer then tries to grab her and lift her up out of the table. Her legs seem to get tangled up with the desk. It's one of those sort of one-piece desk and chair things, and he, I think, sees that as her resisting arrest, and he kind of picks her up, throws her down to the ground over the desk, drags her out of the desk, and then throws her to the front of the classroom on her face and handcuffs her. Now, to a certain extent, once she starts hitting him, it does look a little bit as if he loses it. He maybe does go a bit far, but it's obvious provocation. And after everything going on with Black Lives Matter and threatening to, wanting to kill, police officers, they are under tremendous pressure. So I understand that, if with provocation, they may lose it. And someone acting like that girl really is asking for it. We hope that our cops know better and are able to harness their emotions, but I think in this case there are definitely extenuating circumstances. He was very, very polite and calm up to the time she started to hit him. Now, regressives are already trying to inject the race card because he's white and she's black. It's not going to work because he's in a relationship with a black woman. Ha ha! That will boomerang on the left. Now, Glenn Beck was on Megyn Kelly tonight and had an interesting take. The girl was already in the wrong by the fact the cop had to be called to the classroom to get her out. And then she did not obey his request to leave the classroom. He says this is the start of anarchy because children are being taught to ignore police commands. And he's right. And it's going to lead to more, which I will get to shortly, but unfortunately it's time for a commercial break. So I'm actually a little bit late with it, but we will be right back after these messages.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And we're back from that break. Thanks for sticking with me. I want to say hi to the folks in the chat room, and if you're listening to this live, listening via the Spreaker site, just look for a little speech bubble, click on that and you can join us in the chat room. I want to say hi to Rex. First of all, I know Marsha has been in the hospital, and Rex, I hope that things are going better with her. I'm pleased that you can be in join us on the show. I'm hoping that means she's back at home and she's feeling better. But in the chat room, let me know how it is with her. I saw a few days ago that she was in the hospital. Keeping my fingers crossed for you. And Mary, I apologize. I know, as I said earlier, you're a great supporter of Ben Carson. I don't want to denigrate him. I just want to bring the facts. Nobody is perfect, as I've said before, and just wanted to bring one thing forward to show, everybody has their pluses and their minuses. At the end of the line, any of the people in the current that are still left in the current lineup, I would vote for. I might hold my nose and vote for Jeb if I had to, but I don't see him being able to make it. I think anybody that's under 5%, well, under 10% right now is going to have a problem. But it still is a long while, so we'll see what's going on. Let's see in the chat room. Okay, so yes, Marsha is at home. Wish her all the best, Rex, and thank her for insisting that you listen to the show. We've never met, and we only meet through the show pretty much. We've exchanged emails and things, but I still see you both as close friends. And I have some good news for you, and I don't know if she'll be too weak for this, but Spreaker has a new app which you can put on your computer and which allows you to take Skype phone calls on the air. So that means I'm going to have a possibility to do phone calls again. It's been a long time since Blog Talk Radio days, and so I need to play around with that hopefully next week. So maybe in 2 or 3 weeks I'll be able to do that. I'd love to get you back on the show, and maybe we can get Marsha on as well. But wish her all the best going forward, and speedy recovery. She sounds like a tough lady. She's an Oviedo girl, so hopefully she will survive all this. And so it looks like she is moving forward a bit. Keep our fingers crossed. Okay, folks, let's go back to the show after that. So Mary put a comment in there about the cop being too rough, but I didn't see whether she meant he was not too rough or he was actually too rough. As I said, if you look at the video and you see what went on, first of all, you sort of say, well, okay, he was very polite, he was very nice, asked her nicely a number of times. Then when she started hitting, as I said, it's a felony offense. He has a right to defend himself. Did he do that in a very rough way? Kind of. But did you see, and Mary made the comment, the other kids didn't seem alarmed. The other kids weren't sort of jumping up and screaming or anything. They seemed to expect it. So I think... Yes, maybe he did overstep the line, but I think when they if they take him to court, if they investigate in the police department, there's going to be a lot of leeway for him there. Anyway, we'll see. Now, what this is going to lead to, yet again, though, the fact that it's been on this video now, people are clamoring this police officer is racist and whatever. Well, like I said, he isn't. He has a relationship with a black woman, so a long-standing one as well. So that I can't see him being a racist. But the White House recently claimed that cops are not withdrawing from their responsibilities. Yeah, cops are doing what they should. But of course, we all know that in actual fact, with all this cop baiting going on and all these negative things about cops, that actually, yes, they are being careful about what they do and where they do it, especially in certain cities. Murders are up in Baltimore right now, 50% over last year. St. Louis, almost 50% over last year. Where have been the last two big things with problems with cops? That's right, Baltimore and St. Louis. Other cities, though, up 30, 20, 10%. Even in New York, They're up 8% over last year, probably thanks to Comrade Blasio's cancellation of the stop and frisk policy. And there's even a viral video of a black lady begging de Blasio to bring back stop and frisk. A black woman is asking him to do that. Folks, it's the world is strange. The world is strange, but it's getting worse and worse. And I got a couple of other things. So let's move on quickly. Next topic for the weekly summary. If you want to see something that is very chilling, go to iTunes and look for the movie called Silenced. This is a movie about how the regime is attacking whistleblowers and breaking the laws that have been set up to protect them. Now, apparently this did start in the Bush administration, but this regime has doubled and redoubled their attacks on whistleblowers by doing all sorts of strange things that they're basically not supposed to do. Especially government whistleblowers have a lot of laws to protect them. And a lot of times all these people are doing is exposing things that the government is doing. And yet they are being harassed, they're losing their jobs, they're losing their livelihood and whatever. So just be aware of that. Let's see how we're doing for time. We've got a few more minutes before the end of the first half. So let's talk about some good news. And the good news is that in Congress they have submitted impeachment proceedings for the IRS commissioner. Yes, the Commissioner Koskinen is going to be impeached for destroying evidence and lying to Congress. Now, I'm sure that'll be in all the news, all the news programs, etc. tomorrow, especially things like Fox News. They were already broadcasting it tonight, and they had two legislators that are part of that group, Representative Jordan and Representative Chaffetz, that actually expect the Department of Justice may not do very much, but they are going to at least to handle this from a criminal point of view, but they can in Congress do an impeachment and have Koskinen kicked out. And this is because, amongst other things, he lied to Congress, and also the IRS destroyed documents that were under a subpoena request. So let's see what happens with that. Will it go anywhere? Definitely not under the Department of Injustice, but the Congress can do a lot. And more good news. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has stood up and say sanctuary city policies will no longer be tolerated in Texas. And he was doing that because Dallas County Sheriff Lupe Valdez announced a recent decision to consider honoring immigration detainers on a case-by-case basis. And the governor immediately said no. And he wrote a tersely worded letter to Sheriff Valdez because she decided she was not going to honor immigration detainers. These are basically the requests that ICE send to local police when a particular illegal invader has been detained, and they ask them to hold them for a further 48 hours so that ICE can come and pick them up for deportation. And of course the sanctuary cities are saying, we're not going to cooperate with the federal government, we're just going to release these people without detaining them. And Abbott said, your decision not to fully honor U.S. immigration and customs request to detain criminal immigrants poses a serious damage to Texans. Now there are some things, he also laid out some things that they will do if the action continues with her renegade actions. Passing laws that prohibit any policy or action that promotes sanctuary, to people in the state illegally, enacting laws that make it illegal for a sheriff's department not to honor a federal immigration detainer request, evaluating the extent to which local taxpayers should foot the bill for local decisions that increase costs for Texas's health and education systems, and amending the Tort Claims Act to ensure counties are fully financially responsible for the actions of any illegal immigrants who are released because of the county sheriff failure to honor an ICE detainer request. Well done, Governor Abbott. That is really good. Because Valda said her policy applies only those who have committed minor offenses. But what are minor offenses? I mean, if you're a regressive, it seems that minor offenses include rape, murder, drug dealing, etc. So they have a very different view of it than we do. Okay, folks, after this break, which it's now time for, one blood-boiling topic, and then we're going to talk about Hillaier on the Hill. So I will be back. Let's see if I can get my commercials set up. I will be back after these messages, folks. Stick around.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And folks, welcome back. We're into the second half of the show. Still got a lot to cover, so I'm going to hurry along a little bit. But and I've got one blood-boiling topic, and then we're going to get on to Hillaier. Just been looking in the chat room and to see everything that was going on with poor Marsha when she was in the hospital. Shots. Rex was saying 14 tubes in her at one time. Sounds horrific. But the good news is she is back at home. So small mercy there. So I'm glad. So anyway, before we do though, I do want to give you one reminder. We were talking about that police officer and how the left is really going to twist what happened there. And I agree with Mary in the chat room. He probably was a little too rough at the end, but I think he was provoked. really badly, and I'm sorry, I think that's extenuating circumstances. Somewhere along the line, people just have to learn you do not mess with police officers, period. Bad things will happen when you do, and maybe they will get too rough. Is it their fault? No. We hope that they won't, but do I blame him for it? No way. Anyway, here's just another reminder of something we need to think about, because we know what the left is going to do with all of this.
This is Jeff Carlisi from the Band 38 Special. Let us never forget that police lives matter.
And so there we are, right? Police lives matter, and believe me, this we've seen that in New York this week. And this video is going to be twisted by the left, and more bad things are going to happen to police officers. I just know it. It's unfortunate, but it's going to happen. Okay, let's go on and blood boiling time. That's right, blood boiling time. Now, a number of shows ago, I can't remember when it was, I made mention of an EEOC commission case that was being brought on behalf of two Muslim truck drivers who were suing their former employer for religious discrimination after they were fired for refusing to make beer deliveries. Okay, so for religious purposes, they don't want to deliver beer, and the EEOC takes it up for them and takes the company to court. But if you're a cake baker and you don't want to bake a cake for someone because of your religious convictions, that's somehow different. And let's face it, the Muslims, and this is one thing, I mean, I understand that the Quran says alcohol is bad. So we're not expecting you to drink it. But how do you twist the fact that alcohol is bad to, I'm not going to drive it around and deliver it to other people? If you've got a job as a delivery driver, you deliver what it's the same thing as in the UK, and it's going to come here to the US. Cashiers in supermarkets don't want to handle bacon products, which are packaged, so they're not actually touching the bacon, right? But they, if you don't want to be around bacon, don't go work in a supermarket. And this is the same thing. So I said they were being taken to court. Well, actually, they won $240,000 in damages. But I just don't understand. The government is taking sides here. I thought the government wasn't supposed to favor one religion over another, right? Judge Napolitano also wondered why the EEOC chose to represent workers in a situation like this, in which they were outwardly, openly representing Muslims who knew before they accepted the job that they would be delivering alcoholic beverages. Now, Star Transport, the company that was doing, did occasionally allow swaps of loads, which is what the drivers wanted, but they were, if they'd have fought the case and shown that it would be difficult, because they actually had a forced dispatch policy, which on its face generally required drivers to deliver what they were told, and if it had been consistently enforced, they might have had an argument they could have won. But the Federal Civil Rights Act says even if accommodating an employee just requires a bit of extra administrative hassle in the form of arranging a swap, then the employer is supposed to do it. But that wasn't what it was about, folks. The way the feds intervened in the case, they wanted this case because they wanted to make the point that they've now made, right? Yeah. Of course, it might be a Pyrrhic victory. Because, as the local newspaper says, the Peoria Journal-Star, whether the men collect their money is another story. Star Transport went out of business earlier this year, and it's unknown now who is responsible for the judgment. Yeah, they're going to try and get their money out of someone, but it's it's just ridiculous. So baking a cake you can't do, but this you can do. And like I said, they're at the front of the truck. Who cares what's in the back of the truck? Why does that matter? Anyway, okay, I've got actually a bunch of other things, but we need to get to Hillaier on the hill. So let's move on to that topic. And of course, last week Hillaier was in Washington and spent, 11 and a half hours being grilled by the Benghazi committee. According to the mainstream media, she had a good week, right? Joe Biden dropped out. She seems to be pulling away again from the old hippie. And I don't mean you, Rex. I mean, of course, Sanders. And they said when she was being grilled, she didn't lose her temper, which she didn't, and she looked like a president. Well, I'll tell you, I agree with them for once. She did look like a president. She looked like President Nixon as far as I'm concerned, because it was shown quite clearly that she lied for political expediency and to support King Barry. She knew that the Benghazi raid was nothing to do with the video, and yet she continued to push that story forward on the American public for quite some time afterwards. And there are emails that show that she knew very differently. And they can spin it any way they want, but she was just lying because Obama told her, and she did what she was told. Political expediency. Now, cover up. Isn't that what Nixon lost his job for? Plus, if she's prepared to lie like that on that topic, if she says, well, the emails that she deleted were personal, can she be trusted? Can she be trusted when she says she campaigns for equal pay but pays her men on her staff more than women? Can she be trusted? America, wake up. You know, she's still kind of level with any of the GOP candidates, whoever makes it to the actual position to run against her, and it's pretty certain that she will run. America, wake up! What is wrong with you? How can you trust this woman? Or have we got so blasé that we expect our politicians to be liars and lie to us? Well, Judge Napolitano, mentioned him earlier in another thing, but sorry about that. Judge Napolitano doesn't think that she hit herself an out-of-the-park home run with her testimony. And he thinks she might have at best foul-tipped into a triple out. He described in an interview to World News Daily that Clinton has 3 audiences to which she was speaking. And she seemed to have forgotten the most important one, which was, the most important one has to do with the potential for a prosecution. And this was some questioning that happened towards the end of her testimony, so late at night, so probably people were pretty bored by then. And he was talking about her knowledge of arms dealing by a certain Mark Turi, who is presently being prosecuted by the Department of Justice for lying on the State Department application to ship arms to Libya. Right, so Napolitano said her immediate audience was the committee, and most of them don't know how to ask questions of witnesses who are trying to hide the truth. The second audience was the American people, who will recall no more than 15-second sound bites and general impressions. But the FBI is the third audience, and they know how to build a case on bad acts, persistent deception, and how to use that to trap and indict the perpetrator. So we know she knew the true source of the Benghazi attacks as soon as it happened. and we know that she was lying and blaming a cheap video. So Napolitano says, but the big thing is the FBI can build a case, right? But the more pertinent question under this corrupt, lawless administration is whether or not the FBI will be able to do anything with that case. Obama has politicized the Department of Injustice and they control the media. So their initial response will be to do nothing, at least amongst those in the upper levels of the organization, including with Hillaier. And they're going to have to be forced to action, and without an objective watchdog in the media or an adversarial Congress, it's very questionable as to whether or not sufficient pressure will be brought to bear to force the Department of Injustice to pursue it. Democrat heirs to the throne receive special treatment, extra considerations, and undue leniency, which is absolutely right. And let's look what happened this week as well, that the Department of Injustice, under Loretta Lynch, has decided not to prosecute Lois Lerner. They say there's evidence of mismanagement, but not enough for wrongdoing. And of course, our friend Hillaier has constantly been changing his story. Maybe we'll just have a quick look at that after this break, because it is time for our final break. So folks, I will be back shortly.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or received legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. Call National Foreclosure Defense right now at 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call right now. 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. Call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now. 800-296-3006.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-551-8302 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-551-8302. That's 800-551-8302.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. Okay, folks, there are just so many things that that we can't trust Hillary about. So in these last few minutes, I want to talk about it. Talk about the exchange between Clinton and Representative Pompeo. Like I said, this happened towards the end of the interviews that she was having, the grilling, 11.5 hours, and he asked some very specific questions. Were you aware, or are you aware of any efforts by the US government in Libya to provide any arms, either directly or indirectly, or through a cutout to militias or to opposition to Gaddafi's forces? Clinton says that was a very long question, and I think the answer is no, giving herself some wiggle room. She can always go back then and say, well, I didn't understand the question. Do you hear it, folks? It's another one of these lefty things of just trying to pass it out so that it's always CYA. Were you aware of any US efforts by the US government in Libya to provide any weapons directly or indirectly or through a cutout to any Syrian rebels or militias or opposition to Syrian forces? To which he answered directly, no. That's an absolute lie. She actually approved it, right? She also denied any knowledge of any arms deals to arm the Libyan opposition, which involved private security experts. This Mark Turi, of course, he was caught lying on that. I want to go back to your, Pompeo asks, I want to go back to your statement that you said you didn't ever seriously consider providing security experts. Tell me why you ever considered it at all. She says, we considered a whole range of issues. We knew that the insurgents fighting Gaddafi needed support, and what they were provided was air support, facilitated by the United States. We did not provide any private contractors to assist them. And he asked Clinton if she had any knowledge of the Turi case. Do you know who Mark Turi is? No, I don't recall that I know who that is. Again, look at the phrasing. I don't recall that I know who that is. Oh, she's just messing with us, and it is totally unbelievable that she can even get away with this. And she will, because she will be the nominee. And like I said, I can't believe why they even allow that. Okay, folks, I see we're getting towards the end of the show, so it's time to say thank you for listening. Just a reminder, if you weren't able to listen live, if you're listening to some of the other channels like Red State Talk Radio or the 405 Media, also known as 405 Radio on the left coast there, they all rebroadcast the show. If you're listening that way, just get in touch with me. Send me an email, stephan@patriotcomelately.us, or at my website, www.patriotcomelately.us. There is a contact form there. Love to hear from my listeners. And, give me your feedback about the show, what you like, what you don't like. Ask me questions. Love to answer your emails. I will send you an email, but I'll also try to bring it in to the show. There's going to be plenty of new news next week, so please do come back. And remember as well, please tell your friends about the show. Suggest they listen here. They can, at the same address, you can listen to the recordings 24/7. You can pick up the recordings at archives.patriotcomelately.us. And of course, I mentioned the other two channels that do rebroadcasts and have some very, very interesting other hosts on there as well. So it's almost time to go. And Rex, one more time, wish Marsha all the best. I hope to hear next week that she's feeling a lot better, and I'll be in touch about getting you for an interview on the show in the near future. So, and everybody else, and don't forget, if you've got some topics you'd like me to handle as well, email that to me. I'd love to answer your requests in that respect. So, folks, it is time for the music, which means I'm going to say, not that music, obviously. It's time for the ending music. And that means I'm going to give my usual sign-off, TTFN. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week. And as Mary says as well, prayers for Marsha. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Patriot Come Lately Show. Please take what you have learned and share it with friends and family. Better still, tell them about the show so they can listen too. Remember to support the advertisers on the show. It helps keep this show on the air, and I thank you for that. I'm looking forward to joining you on the next show. Until then, keep spreading our message. Goodbye, and God bless America.